Hello and a very good day, everyone. This is Akshat Faisal from Team 3, and now we are going to record our presentation 2 for international marketing. So, as you already know, we have chosen the country Canada, and in this presentation, we are actually going to reveal our selected product that is very suitable for Canadian market and that is very suitable for the Canadian environment, their weather, and so on. So before we start the presentation, let me give you to this agenda. That's the presentation overview. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about political environment of Canada, followed by legal environment, followed by cultural environment, and after that, we are going to actually reveal our product that we have chosen to market in Canada. And then we're going to share the tariff and non-tariff barriers, and lastly, our target market in Canada. So without any delay, let's get started with the political environment of Canada.
Okay, so now I will explain about the Canada political environment for the political system. As you can see, the current monarch of Canada is Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth is the queen of 15 Commonwealth countries, including the United Kingdom. So Canada's nominal political system is a constitutional monarchy. Canada is also a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, but in fact, Canada is a parliamentary democracy, and the separation of powers is adopted. The legislative, executive, and judicial powers all originate from the Canadian monarch. Canada's central government share power with provincial governments. Canada's political system operates within a framework established by parliamentary democracy and federalism, and has a strong democratic tradition. Now we proceed with Canada major political parties. As you can see here, the leader of Canada's 6 major political parties. First, the Liberal Party of Canada primarily pursues liberalism. It characterized by a pursuit of development, a belief in the good nature of human beings. Being Conservative Party of Canada, generally relatively radical, not relatively progressive. And then Quebec political parties. It's the most important platform of the parties to support Quebec separation from Canadian Confederation and become independent sovereign state. Then New Democratic Party of Canada, which supports representative and participatory democracy. Green Party of Canada, which promotes green politics, which focus on ecology and the environment. Last is People Party of Canada, which is split from the Conservative Party, been described by outsiders as conservative, libertarian, populist, and classical liberal. Okay. Now, the information regarding Canada government system. Canada has a 3-tier system of government, which is the federal government, provincial territorial government, and municipal government. The primary responsibility of the federal government is to ensure and support the operation of the nation economy. It is also responsible for defense, commercial trade between province and countries, immigration, banking, monetary system, criminal law, and fisheries. The federal government also oversees industries such as aviation, shipping, railroads, communication, and atomic energy. So provincial and territorial governments are organized in a structure similar to that of the federal government and are responsible for the respective region in areas, as you can see here. Okay. Now for the Cabinet of Canada, we have the Prime Minister of Canada, we have the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, we have the Minister of Veterans Affairs, Associate Minister of National Defense, we got the Minister of Mental Health, Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Health, Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Okay, now for the Canada Political Risk Assessment. For corruption, Canada is low compared to most other countries worldwide. And Transparency International 2019 Corruption Perception Index ranks Canada as the 12th least corrupt nation out of 180 countries. For crime overall, there is a low rate of crime in Canada. Nepotism is still rampant in Canada. Canadian federal hiring for tax discrimination, Canada ranks pretty high because 62% of Canadians describe the tax system as unfair, while only 14% believe it's fair. For the political violence risk, it's almost close to none, since Canada, it's a very low chance for the possible political violence risk. For the labor cost, Canada ranks pretty high, actually. As you can see here, this is the spider map for the score of each of the political risk. Now we will proceed for the Canada Economic Risk Assessment. For labor problems, Canada ranked pretty high because the labor shortage that took off during the pandemic is far from over. For exchange controls, Canada ranks low because the government of Canada does not restrict the movement of or funds into or out of the country and impose no restriction on the buying or selling of any foreign currency. For the import restriction, Canada maintains a liberal trade regime. There are no foreign exchange restriction, and import license are only required for a limited number of goods. Imports are generally subject to import duties, so import licenses are required for items regulated under the Export and Import Permits Acts. For the tax controls in Canada, also rank high, but not too high in Canada. The tax system is progressive or graduated, meaning the more money you make, the more income taxes you pay. For the price controls, the current Canadian controls limit wage increase in general to the 8% to 12.8%. Okay. For the and allow price change by firms increase only when the firm's cost increase. And lastly, the GDP growth. Canada real GDP growth was around 4.5% compared to the previous year. So as you can see here is the spider map for the score of the political assessment. To conclude, there ain't many political and economical risk in Canada to launch a product because they have a pretty low scores on the risk assessment. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Pastor Grayson. I'm Tuesday the 421 and I would like to explain to you guys about the legal environment of Canada. First, to see the Canadian law and the legal environment. So the Canadian legal system was created by the British North America in 1867, 30 and 31 Victoria, section number 3 in UK, which later became the Constitution Act 1867. The legal system was also a mixed legal system. There are common law and civil law that used in Canada. Next, this is the Canadian court structure. The court structure of the court system was also divided into two. There are federal court and provincial court, and this is the structure and the flow of the Supreme Court of Canada. This is the Canada tax law. The income tax rate, the highest one, it's around 33%, and the lowest one is 15%. And the corporate tax is also for the investment income. The highest one is 50.7%. It's for the investment income on Quebec. In Alberta, with 46.7%. Now the value added tax and VAT in Canada is 5%. So Canada has one of the lowest VAT tax rate in the world. Now this is the flow on how company formation. First one, select corporate jurisdiction. After that, choose name and region. Prepare and submission of relevant document and open corporate bank account. And after that, obtain business number and professional license. And the last one, register for tax obligation. Now the repatriation of profits, the common interest and management fees. Now this is the marketing law in Canada. The marketing law in Canada was protected under Canada Competition Act 1985. The purpose of the Canada Competition Act to promote the efficiency and adaptability of Canada economy, to expand opportunities for Canadian participation in the world market, while recognizing all of Canadians as enterprise have an equitable opportunity to participate in the Canadian economy, and last one, provide consumer with competitive price and product choice. Now, this marketing law on Competition Act in Canada was also trying to prevent there's a mismarketing or deceptive marketing happen in Canada market. The CPI on Corruption Perception Index. Currently, Canada is ranked number 13 in the world compared to Malaysia. Right now, it's number 62. So the Corruption Perception Index was only a snapshot on how the perception is not as a whole thing, because it's hard to measure on how corrupt the country. Now, if you get this is Canada. Canada was number 13 with a score of 74, and Malaysia is number 62 with 48 score. Now this is the comparison of CPI between Canada and Malaysia in recent years. Now the highest Canada score in CPI is in 2012. In 2012, Canada managed to score 84, and throughout the year, Canada is pretty stable. However, in 2019, there little slope and Canada kind of declining a little bit in the CPI index. And right now, Canada scored 74. In Malaysia in 2012 was around 50, roughly around 48. And the lowest one of Malaysia is in 2018 is roughly below 48 score, and the highest one that Malaysia could get is in 2019. So the score of CPI was skyrocketed, and then the score was roughly above 52. And after 2019, the score was slowly declining again in 2021.
Okay, so now the cultural environment of Canada. So cultural environment is one of the most important factor for every businesses because every country's culture and their cultural environment actually affects their businesses and influences the business products. So, if you look at the Canadian culture, it is a mixture of British, French, and American influences because we know that it was previously British colony and then French colony, and America is their neighbor. So, all of which blend and sometimes compete in their every aspect of cultural life, from filmmaking and writing to cooking and playing sports. And business is not out of that. Other people have added distinctive elements to this mixture. Okay, now we look at the racial composition. So we will have a clear picture of their cultural mixture. So we can see that the majority of the people are called Canadian, that is 24.3%. Then there are English people, 13.9%, Scottish, French, Irish, German, Chinese, Indian, and South Indians. So this is the basically overall racial composition in Canada. Then their religious composition in Canada. We can see there the majority of the people are Roman Catholic, which stands for 38.7%. Then there are Muslims, Protestant, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jewish, and some other religions. But the point to be noted here, we can see that in Canada, 23.9% people have no religion affiliation, which is a very important factor for us to look for because this 23.9% have no religious affiliation. And some of the major Canadian cultural values and beliefs that we have identified are here. The first one is the egalitarianism, which is like a society where every people are deemed equal. This is why the hierarchy is not very evident. Everyone is deserving of equal rights and opportunities in the society, regardless of the gender, age, race, or beliefs. Then the next one is the informality. Most Canadians are casual in dress and language. They have no strict dress codes in the workplace. And their clothes are informal to casual. Generally, everyone is on a first name basis. Even seniors are addressed by their first names. However, when meeting a person for the first time, it is safe to address them by Mr., Mrs., or Miss, or professional title like doctor, and their last name. More often than not, they will tell you that you may address them by their first name, especially when you become more familiar with one another. So in their culture, they have informality. And the last major part is that they have individualistic yet community oriented. That means the people of the Canadians are highly aware of their responsibility towards their community. Despite being individualistic in terms of personal values such as guarding personal space, contributing to the betterment of the community is a very top priority for every Canadians. Canadians get involved by volunteering, donating, and by generally maintaining pride and affinity of their community. So this is individualistic yet community oriented. Now, uh, Canada is actually low context culture because their communication is very specific and they have a their communication is detailed, precise, and they're very poor at decoding body languages and unspoken messages. So actually, basically, this is their words actually carry out all the information. So that's why Canada prefers low context culture. Now, if you look at some of the major cultural characteristics, Here we can see the Canadian cultural characteristics. Their social orientation is task-oriented. Their communication is very direct, and they have some somewhat neutral expressivity, and they actually operates on M time, monochronic time, because you can see they are very neutral to somewhat brisk. They are very active to their work and energetic. So they are in the monochronic time, and most of the low context culture operates in this time. So Canada is also in that characteristics. Now, if we look at the Hofstede insights, the power in a distance of Canada is below 50%, is very low, we can see here. Then we can see their individualism, which is the dimension, is the degree of interdependence a society maintains among its member. It is very high. It's like 80%. Then their masculinity is also more than 50%. Then uncertainty of avoidance is below 50%. Then long-term orientation is very low. And indulgence is 68%. So all of these insights actually concludes that Canadian culture is information oriented and low context culture. And so lastly, some of the major Canadian business customs we have identified. The first one is the formality. Although their Canadian culture, we have identified that they are very informal in every aspect of their culture. But some of the business people, Canadian business people are very conservative in manner, speech, and dresses. Business customs are similar to those in the US and the UK, but etiquette is very important in Canadian business. So it is reflected in a number of areas, such as in the business dress, which tends to be fairly conservative. Some of the business practices, such as meetings can also be fairly formal. Then the next one is the negotiation. Business people negotiating with Canadians should be well informed and knowledgeable about details of their proposal, because we have already discussed that their culture is low context culture. So details must be informed and must be carried out. So thoroughness is appreciated and directness is very valued. It is important for every business people to avoid exaggerating the strengths of their company or the benefits of their product. This is the another business customs of Canada. And lastly, equality, because we already said that Canada is egalitarian society, which society actually believes in the equality. So Canadians don't place a great deal of value on position or rank in the businesses. So the value placed on equality is also demonstrated in the management style, which tends to be the team focus, egalitarian, and consultative. And lastly, visiting female executives can be expected to be taken very seriously because of the equality issue. Likewise, Canadian women receive a lot of respect from their Canadian male colleagues and will expect the same from the foreigners. So as international marketers, we have to focus on these issues, and we have to remember all of these cultural values and customs of Canada. So now let's move on to our selected product for Canadian people.
Okay, hello everyone. Now I'm going to talk about why we've chosen electric heated jacket and why we think in the long term it's going to create us profit and help us to run our business. Now, our country is Canada, which is one of the coldest countries in the world, and it has the longest winters, shortest summers. The autumn and springs are non-existent, so people really need these sort of electric jackets to keep their daily life going without any disturbance. And another reason we think it's going to be successful is because it is attractive enough, and it is working with today's fashion, which is tech wear, which is a classy and fashionable and, you know, something charismatic for younger generations. And now you might be wondering what gives us an edge and you know, what makes us better than our competitions. Well, we've chosen several options to make us special. Here in a city map, which means you can choose whether you want to have the heat in your chest, you want to have the heat on your wrist. You can choose wherever you want to get the heat from. long running power. We're trying to make it as efficient as possible to give your daily life running without any trouble with long running power batteries. Windproof and waterproof. Canada is full of both of them, so we're trying to manage that. And lightweight, we're trying to make it as lightweighted as possible, so you can even run with them. And heart rate monitor. Now this is genius, because with heart rate monitor, it scans your heart rate and chooses whether you need more heat or you need more cold, and do it automatically. Now I will pass the presentation to my friends.
First, I'd like to start with a brief overview about the Canadian import system. Canadian dairies are governed by the International Convention on the Harmonized Commodity Description and Coding System, which is an internationally standardized system of tariff classifications. The tariff system contains more than 8,000 specific taxes. When you want to import products into Canada, the product must have a 10-digit tariff classification number. The Canadian export classification is a structure-based and uniform description and coding system. The harmonized system nomenclature is divided into 21 parts, usually grouping goods and goods in the same economic sector. But what does this mean for our heating jackets? The first thing to note is that fabrics and garments are classified under tariff code in class 11, textiles and textiles products. You will find all fabrics products between chapter 50 and 60, and finished products, garments and other manufactured textiles between chapter 61 and 63. Most materials are tax exempt. Clothing is usually taxed at 17 or 18%, while most baby clothes are exempt. So our heating jacket is tariff code number 6101300000. Men or boys overcoat, car coat, capes, cloak, anoraks, including skiing jackets, wind cheaters and wind jackets, and similar art. The important question is, do we have to pay customs duties on our product? There is a clear answer. Yes, we have to pay 80% import duties for our jackets. And also all goods entering Canada are accessed to 5% goods and service tax. After calculating the additional tax on the finished product, we want to calculate the additional fee. Here we use as an example, according to Article 63 of the UPS Canada brokerage rate for larger items. And the custom declaration fee is 5% of the total value of the goods. So we heard a lot of tariff barriers, but what is with non-tariff barriers? We found a lot of non-tariff barriers for importing textile products into Canada. First, there's a limitation on trade. Every company needs an importing license. That means every company has to register by the Canadian Revenue Agency to obtain a business number. Products wholly or in part by prison labor is not allowed to import into Canada. It is blocked. We have also some labeling standards. Canada requires bilingual labeling in English and France for most of the products. This labeling must appear on the product or on the packaging. All components with more than 5% of the jackets must be labeled, sorted from the most to the smallest amount. There are several importing standards. For us, important is the electronic device standard. It's just only allowed to import products which fit under the Canadian Electrical Code. And at the end, every used wood packaging for importing must be heat or steam treated. There are also some documentary requirements for importing goods into Canada. A complete documentary package should be presented to the customs when the imported goods arrive at the Canada's border. This package should include cargo control documents, usually prepared by the carrier based on the shipper's information. Very important is the Canada Customs invoice or commercial invoice. which indicates the buyer, the seller, the country of origin, the price, detailed description of the goods with quantity and unit price, and the tariff code. Um, import, import permissions, health certificates, and examinations are required by federal government departments. Important is also a certificate of origin for every tariff preferred level and a bill of lading to satisfy the direct shipment of the country of origin to Canada. Other documents including insurance certificates, packaging list, pre-shipment inspections, and pro forma invoice as requested, and phytosanitary certificates.
Okay, so now the last agenda of this presentation is the target market. So the target market for our product is the teenagers, adults, and aging people, including men and women aged between 13 to 80 years old, living in the cold and temperate regions with the average Canadian household or individual income level and have an active lifestyle. Okay, so define this target market. Geographically, we are actually targeting the people living in cold regions, such as the Northwest Territories, Newfoundland, and Labrador. And in the temperate regions, we will be targeting the cities like Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, etc. Okay, so basically, initially we will launch in just a one cold regions. We will target one cold regions like Newfoundland or Labrador, and from one temperate region that would be Alberta or British Columbia or maybe Toronto. Okay, so the cold regions will be operating all year round because cold regions there are winter all the season long, and for the temperate regions in the winter season we'll be operating in these cities. So geographically, we are actually targeting the people living in these cities and these regions. Now, demographically, we have targeted the teenagers, adults, and aging people. Basically, the age starts from 13 plus because we can see the resident population of Canada here by age group. The majority of the age group of Canadian population are here in between these 20. Starts from the 20, and also we can see here 55 to 59, 60 to 65. So we are actually demographically targeting these age groups, including all the men and women. So for this demographic group, we have to do differentiated marketing strategy. Now, economically, we are actually targeting the people and the families that have average Canadian household income. So our target market are the average Canadian household incomes, also the individual average income of Canada, because our initial price we have set is somewhat like $120 to $250 between these. So we can see the median annual family income in Canada. This is the average number in Canadian dollars, and then the annual salary of the individual Canadians. So after seeing these numbers, the price range is very affordable for this average income level. So economically, we are targeting all the average household or individual income family or persons. Now, psychographically, we have targeted the people with an active lifestyle. Active lifestyle refers here means the working people, students, and the person who loves to do outdoor activities such as hiking, polar sports enthusiasts, etc. Here we can see that average Canadian commute times in the different cities in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, this is very much higher. So our product is going to be very beneficial for this psychographic group, the active lifestyle group, for the traveling group. That's why psychographically we have chosen this category. So that's all for the target market. Now for the conclusion, we can say that Canada has a lower political and economical risks. Canadian culture is information oriented, and their tariff and non-tariff barriers are measurable. And this is the ideal market for electric jackets. So that's all from Team 3. I hope everyone have enjoyed this presentation. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Have a good day.